Since the beginning of home consoles and video games coming to home systems, people have also wanted to be able to play pinball games at home on their home systems. And with games like Thunderball coming to the Odyssey 2 and Video Pinball coming to the Atari 2600, they've made that happen, made the dream come true for pinball players, although it wasn't ideal in the beginning. But you had that option, and pretty much every single console, from handheld to home console for your living room, has had a version of pinball for it. Some good, some not so good. Some straight up pinball, some variations of pinball, and just a lot of fun to be had overall. I've had a lot of fun through the years trying out different ones. It's not for everybody, but then again, what pinball game is? At first, home consoles were mostly just whatever video games they could throw together, and eventually it was, let's bring home arcade ports, and that seemed to be a huge thing, especially for Atari. You had things like Space Invaders got huge. Atari decided to license that and bring it home, and Space Invaders for the Atari made that company grow a billionfold, and people actually prefer Space Invaders on the Atari 2600 to the arcade version. Over time, you saw things like that happen with a lot of home ports. People remember fondly the Atari version of that. Video pinball, maybe not so much, over actual pinball tables in an arcade. Now, I was born in the early 70s, became a video console kid in the early 80s with the Atari 2600. Later, in 86, moved on to the NES. I still played NES pinball, and later some pinball on the Genesis and different consoles afterwards. But pinball tables really weren't my thing growing up in the arcades. I did play them now and then, sometimes when you were waiting for your favorite video game, maybe Ghosts and Goblins or something like that in the arcade. You wanted to play Commando or something, somebody was playing it. You wanted to play 1942 or 43 if somebody else was playing it. There's some pinball tables there. You had quarters in your pocket. You maybe had a limited time. We didn't get to go to the arcades that often. Mostly when a friend's parents took us, to a mall or something. So my parents didn't even go to the mall that often. Mostly it was local shopping at a Kmart or something. But if a table was open, maybe you did play, and you did have some fun. But I wasn't straight up looking for a pinball table. Neither were my friends. But you had fun doing that. But as a kid, I would have rather played an arcade cabinet, a video game, maybe one that was really popular at the time, a Donkey Kong Jr., Donkey Kong 3, stuff like that. But as an adult, I really appreciate pinball a lot more now, especially real tables, the way they engineered it, the way they figured everything out and how the things play, the mechanics and the things. Really awesome to see, to play, really cool things. And I really have my friends now, G. Parker's Arcade and Off-Grid Arcade, to thank for that. Because like I said, I have played in recent years. I had some of the stuff that I would play a little bit here and there. Pinball FX, I don't know if it was 2 or what, back in the day, PlayStation 3, maybe download and play the free tables, or maybe on my phone, but not really. I wouldn't pay for new tables. Play the free stuff here and there just for fun, just for a second here and there. Well, really these guys that got me into the newer stuff and introduced me to it and got me into tournaments to have me really appreciate it now. But like I said, I would get into some of the stuff on different generations, through the late 80s, early 90s. The stuff that was pinball, but maybe not really pinball, Of course, I played the NES Classic with Mario through the years. Didn't own it until recent years. But fun stuff. But that's pinball, but not really pinball. Sonic's Pinball got in recent years from Video Games Monthly, so they sent me a boxed edition, cardboard box edition. not their usual plastic clamshell version. In recent years got Thunderball for the Odyssey 2 before I actually got more into video pinball. But really fun thing, and to go back now and to look up other versions that I may have missed, you know, like Kirby on Game Boy, the Pac-Man one on the Game Boy Advance. Finding this stuff now that I may have missed or saw but didn't want to play at the time. There were other things to spend my money on or other things to do, and now you can find a lot of this stuff in emulation. Crew Ball on the Genesis, really neat idea for the time. I have a TurboGrafx 16 that I just got within the last 5 or 6 years. Have a lot of stuff on the EverDrive for it. Do have the Alien Crush, Devil's Crush on there. And even more recently, PS4, PS5 era, you have Demon's Tilt. Things like that. Really cool to see and play. It's nice to see this stuff still coming out. This stuff's still supported by fans. Pinball is something, I think, on home consoles that's going to be around forever, as long as there's home consoles and handhelds out. Pinball fans are going to be interested. And so if you can't have a full-size real pinball table in your house, you have an apartment or something, condominium, something smaller, you can't fit that in the house, or you don't have the time to maintain a real machine, they're available for you now, and the newer stuff looks absolutely beautiful. But yeah, go back and play some of this older stuff. You're going to have a good time with it. There's a great history behind it if you look it up and you see. Video Pinball was one. Bob Smith made this game. He worked for Atari, later became a boss for Atari, and if you see some of his old interviews, he said when he went into Atari, they gave him a list of games that they wanted to be made for the Atari 2600. Here are some games, pick one and make it. And he said he looked at that list, and one of them was pinball. They just wanted a pinball game to be made for the Atari 2600. And he said, okay, that's the one I'll do. Out of the list, I'll do a pinball game. Now, if you know anything about Atari at the time, they had a bunch of games in a game room, arcade games for the people to play. And if they were going to make a home conversion of this game, if they had it there, they could sit there, and that was their work day. They would play it for hours, they would play it for days, and then go up and try to figure out how to program it. And if they didn't have that game there, they would go to an arcade and play that game. He said in interviews, different interviews with him, that there was only one pinball game there at Atari's headquarters, and that was Superman, the pinball game, and he got paid to play that game for hours. Now, he didn't make Superman Pinball for the Atari 2600. He made Video Pinball that I played in my video here. And he played it for hours and was amazed that he was getting paid for it. And then he eventually created Video Pinball, as you saw. But yeah, pretty sweet. And that's what he made for it. And later, you had Bumper Bash. Like I said, Spectre Video came out, third-party game. And even later still, Midnight Magic, that I also played in my video. And you can see the progression and how things got better. But the only one with a nudge feature was Video Pinball by Bob Smith. So really cool feature. And one thing I didn't show in my video is he actually made the little drain holes, the little exits there. That's in a difficulty. You can open those up too. I didn't do that in my gameplay. But yeah, I mean, these games for the consoles, these pinball games for the consoles are getting better and better. Now you can see with FX3 and now FX. And FX on these computers now, if they're upgraded super duper computers or like the PS5, they look absolutely beautiful. Great way to play them. If you have virtual pinball tables in your house, I mean, and you can fit that table, you can play all of these machines from the past. You put those games on there, no better way. Maybe the only better way to play them is virtual reality. I have played the Star Wars games from Zen and virtual reality on my PS4, and it's absolutely beautiful. It's like you're standing there in an arcade playing them that way. So which is the better way? However you feel you should do it. But yeah, I mean, playing them on Pinball FX, to me, these games look amazing now. It looks like you're standing at a table. The lighting in the machines, all the little lights and the lighting in the room that you're standing in, look absolutely fantastic. They've come a long way. They've come a long way, baby, you know. So, however you like to play it, there's your answer. If you don't have room in your house for an actual table, you don't have time to actually maintain a machine, you have all of these consoles. You have emulators for all these old consoles. For handheld, you can play all these old pinball games in emulation. If you do collect, you can play them on EverDrives in your old consoles. Every single console out there pretty much has a flash card that you can use. From video pinball to these virtual pinball things. Maybe you have a 3-screen setup like Derek talks about. Check out the Discord. Maybe you have these tables like G. Parker's Arcade talks about, like Off Grid Arcade talks about, these actual tables, but they play the VPX. They have a computer, a PC hooked up, and they can put all these games in a back glass, and these guys figure all this stuff out where you're looking at it, it looks like you're playing all of these tables, these great old tables from the past, the newer tables. They put the files in there, they're playing the game right there on a real pinball table. They have the buttons for it. If you can't do that, there's always virtual reality. You put on your headset, you're in a room and there's the table in front of you, and it looks really good. I do it on PS4 VR. You can also do it with FX2, I believe, right here with the Quest 2. I haven't done it on the Quest 2 myself, but it's possible to do that. PSVR 2 is out now for the PS5. Don't have one of those just yet. I'm sure down the road I'll be getting one of those. You can do pinball on that. VR is so real, but what I would really like to see them do, that PSVR 1, it's just the one table in front, the table in front of you. You play it. Looks really cool. I want to see you walk into an actual arcade with several tables lined up. Do that, Zen. Put me in a seedy arcade of the olden days, a smoke-filled room, neon lights, black lights, whatever you want to do, whatever you want to say, and have all the tables individual. Let me look over and see Off-Grid over there with a smoke in his mouth saying, "Hey, come over here, buddy, and try this machine out." And then have him pick my pocket or put some ether. No, that's not a fantasy. That's just gross. But anyway, there you have it. Pinball through the years. You can find a lot of stuff on the old consoles. Like I said, ever since there has been home consoles, there have been pinball games out there for pretty much everything that you can think of. Every console, every handheld, look it up. You're probably going to find something. If it was a console that lasted a few years, there's probably a pinball game out there for it. Now, since I started this video, and I know it's been a while, work has been tough. My illness has been hitting me hard lately. I haven't been getting into videos like I should, and I really want to. This is a hobby of mine that really brings me happiness, so I'm sorry about that. But since I started making this video, Bob Smith from Atari fame that made this, he passed away last Sunday, I believe it was. They made the big announcement on Monday. So Bob Smith, his family, and his friends, our thoughts are with you. He was a great, and he had become a boss at Atari. He had hired the great Howard Scott Warshaw, a nerd's legend, who made the great, Yar's Revenge, and also E.T. and Indiana Jones for the 2600. Love Howard Scott Warshaw. And but Bob Smith made video pinball. He also was one of the guys that left Atari, broke away, and made or created Magic. And Magic made some of my very favorite games. They were my favorite third-party company, just ahead of Activision. To me, and Magic made my favorite games, and he was responsible for Dragonfire, a great, great classic. So Bob Smith, rest in peace. Thank you for all you did for the video game industry, and just a coincidence that I've been working on this video for the last couple of weeks and he had passed. But legendary Bob Smith, rest in peace, brother. And thank you for all you did for the industry. And thank you guys for watching another great Mr. Poestyle video. Sorry it took so long to get out, but video pinball games for your home consoles, for your handhelds, they are out there. They are everywhere. There's a ton of them. And now Pinball FX just fills that void for your home consoles. It is out for all the newer home consoles. It'll be coming out for the Nintendo Switch very soon, within the next couple months. It should be out as soon as it is optimized. I'm playing it on the PS5 now. You can also play it on the latest, greatest Xbox. It is out there. You can play it on Steam and Epic on your PC. Do it. Go out and check it out. And check out FX3 is out there already for everything. And check out the games that they also provide for your VR headsets, your Quest 2, your PSVR 1. Don't know if there's any out for the VR 2 yet. I'm sure if there isn't, there will be one really soon. It's hard to beat VR, in my opinion. A lot of fun. It's like you're actually there and the machine is in front of you. And just look around and you can see stuffs. Really cool, guys. Really cool. I enjoyed making this video. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Do you enjoy pinball? Do you play the real machines? Do you have any in your house? Let me know. And thank you to the community. Thank you guys for introducing me or bringing me back around the pinball again. Off-Grid, G. Parker, really cool. Gaming Road Warrior. We all like to compete with these tournaments. I'm having a harder time keeping up or even getting into these tournaments lately just because work is so busy, family life, and not feeling great. But actually meeting newer people, Digital Victory, Derek, again, we love to jab at each other, but it's great meeting you. I wouldn't have met you if it wasn't for the pinball community and G. Parker and Off-Grid. And the Champagne Room, Live Wire, and Classic Rocking, all you guys. So, yeah, thank you for watching. We'll see you on the next one, guys. I've rambled on. Oh, Nacho. Come here, Nacho. No biting. No biting. Oh, no biting. Oh, Nacho, stop.